stated that you didn't get an opportunity to.
No, we got an email over the spring break, and you know, we've had email conversation. We talked to Mr. Stevens. The issue is we have a board. So when our principal and our get information, they can't respond without us having a board meeting to do it, because we govern the school. And so everything has to take in consideration. And you can imagine, just like you all have a board, there's legal implications, there's so there's a to do that. So this has been a 2-week process, and literally, if I tell you, we've had to have 6:30 in the morning calls just to be able to navigate where we are. Finally responded last, I think I responded to that about 7:30 to get some clarity. What's the difference between sign-in, because the questions are coming at us from our stakeholders. We still have to go back to our parents and everybody else, because we stood before our folks and said we have a 5-year chart. So and Bonnie's explained the process. So I'm not contemplating the process. The issue for us becomes we're working up the hill to get to where we need to get to, and this kind of keeps us from working. I mean, you can imagine our staffing when we go to our teachers and say, where we thought we were, we're not. And we've got to renew, and we just went through the process. We eliminated 70% of our staff because they weren't certified when I came over. They're now all highly qualified and certified. And they're not going to sit around and wait for us to piecemeal. I mean, that's just the reality. It's not their fault. It's just the reality of what we're dealing with, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate those waters, and it's taken a lot of effort to get to that point.
So technically, we're caught between working out this process and trying to be fair to folks at the same time.
That's basically what it is.
One logistical note, because these approvals have to go into effect for 60 days, in order to get these schools on board by July 1, which is when that meeting transition, we should go ahead and make a decision. So there wasn't really any wiggle room in the process. Is that, there's, even last month, there wasn't much wiggle room, but because these schools did come over in March and they're coming in April, there's even less wiggle room.
Other comments, questions by commissioners?
Paul, any question?
Paul first.
I just want to address a couple of things and then ask a question again. First, I'll declare that I hate this process too. This process basically happened whenever the Supreme Court said the old commission was not valid. And then the way the process affects you was happening at the very end of the legislature when they made changes. And you referred to the fact that you had a legally binding 5-year commitment. But I know it's a technicality, but unilaterally that commitment could have been withdrawn at any time by the authority of the Board of Education. So it was, if there's any attorneys out there, I'm not one, but I think a unilateral commitment, the definition of being legally binding, might be a little shaky, but the fact of the matter is that the legislature's actions revoked that agreement and not ourselves. So we're starting from ground zero. So the process is bad. We will stipulate that, and we're trying to do the best we can with that process. And I know you're frustrated about it. I started at school. I've been in your shoes, and I understand. And you're very emotional today. Is that, you feel a little emotional?
Well, we have to serve the people in this room who bring their children to us. I'm indebted to them. And
Well,
I'm responsible for making sure that we do everything we can to serve their children.
Well, I want to commend you for your emotion, because I can only assume that it's because you're concerned about the children who come to your school.
Absolutely.
And so it is completely justifiable and appropriate. So, but what I want to do now is come back to Jennifer's question, which I really don't think, we got an answer, and I'd like to hear, because this is what I want to base my vote upon, is that I know that you weren't deficient in every grade area. And you mentioned some typos and some other things, but at the pace that we're going at, that really doesn't need to be brought up, I think, because you would be bothered if we were questioning your application because we found typos. I mean, so that's sort of an attempt to discredit our staff that really needs to be left out of this conversation. Because you and we have the same objective: is of the children being educated and they're given a better opportunity. And everything else is sort of peripheral when we deal with the cards that we've been left with. But what I'd like for you to come back, I know you didn't miss, I know that you're not deficient in every area, but talk to us just a moment about the grade levels where there was deficiencies and how y'all think that y'all will be able to overcome those deficiencies.
principal here to speak to the grades where we were not. There are some, and I have the charts that were taken right off of the DLE website. So,
Yeah, we've got that information, but
Okay.
I guess what I'd like you to just talk to us for a minute